I do that gag. And a huge vote of thanks to Natalia and Mariana for your marketing activities. Looking at the posts on LinkedIn this last couple of weeks, I've learned so much about myself. Just absolutely incredible. I don't know where you got all your information from or all the photographs from, but thank you for doing such a special job. Thrilled to be with you today. I really just want to share a little part of my journey. I'm ending my career, I'm sure, fairly soon. We've got a succession plan in place. And all I really want to do is just to share some of my experiences over this last 28 years in particular. And it's true, I was inspired by this woman, Anne Robinson, and the Watchdog programme. 28 years ago, I believed that we were drowning in a sea of negativity. Watchdog, Rip Off Britain, Blast Off Britain, Cowboy Builder, our TV screens were filled with this negative commentary. And I know that the intention was good, but really what it was becoming was sensational journalism. And with my sportsman's head on, I thought, well, if we were in the world of sport, we would never worry about who is the worst in our particular sport. We would be focused on who is the best. So couldn't we, from a business point of view, aspire to be the best rather than trying to avoid being the worst? And it was the very early days of the internet. A friend of mine helped me set up a little form on a web page, and we invited people to tell us if they'd had a great customer service experience. And the theory was that if they told us about companies that were doing really great things, we could share those stories, we could learn from it, and we could all truly aspire to be the best. But some interesting things started to happen. Firstly, we were blown away at how enthusiastic people were for wanting to say that they'd had a great service experience and to say thank you. Secondly, what surprised us was we expected them to tell us about companies, but they didn't. They told us about people. They didn't tell us about NatWest Bank, they told us about Graham at NatWest Bank. They didn't tell us about the post office or the local supermarket, they told us about Mary at the supermarket. And one of the stories that came through to us was such a fabulous story that I felt it warranted some sort of recognition. So I printed off a little certificate. I bought a clip frame from the local market in Stevenage for 50 pence. You can see this was quite a, financially sound organisation. And I went down to King's Cross to present this young lad with a little certificate of recognition. And he was blown away. Having been in the corporate world for 20 years, I'd never seen anybody as animated and as motivated as this young man was on that day, and all I'd given him was a piece of paper. So from that day on, we said what we would do is, as these stories came in, we would read them all, we would judge them, and if it was a good story, we would issue a little certificate of recognition. So these stories coming into us, we started to treat those as nominations, and I had the idea that perhaps we could call this thing the WOW Awards. Now, over the years since then, 28 years, we've processed hundreds of thousands of these customer stories, and we've learnt so much about the power of recognition. These are just some of the companies that we work with. Mariana asked earlier on about how do we do our marketing. Basically, our marketing is the telephone rings and we pick it up. And somebody at the other end will say, I've heard about what you're doing. Can we do that? Sometimes it's big companies, sometimes it's little companies. The one thing that they all have in common is a burning desire to create a great place to work, and a great place to be a customer. So we have the best job in the world. We read wonderful stories about wonderful people in wonderful organisations, and it is just the best thing that you could imagine. So my agenda today, I'd like to touch on why I think recognition is so important, and I'm going to give you 10 top tips for how you could make recognition work in your organisations. And some of you might be representing big organisations here, some of you might be very small, some of you might be one-man businesses. But my belief is that a big organisation is a little business that did the right things. So start when you're small and just keep that going. And then we'll have time for a bit of Q&A. So does that sound all right with you all? Yeah. Excellent, okay. Let's first of all, in terms of getting across to you the power of recognition, I want to deal with what I consider to be one of the myths of recognition. This little cartoon that I came across some years ago sums it up very nicely. The myth is that customers only ever want to complain. Everybody's queuing up at the complaints counter, there's nobody at the gratitude counter. And yet what I discovered is that most organisations don't have a gratitude counter. They've closed it. Does your business or your company have a channel for handling customer compliments, for people that want to say thank you? Check your website when you get back. Or do you just have the complaints counter? Because if all you ask for are complaints, all you are going to get are complaints. And what sort of culture does that create? What sort of driving force does that create? So let's make sure, first of all, that that counter is open. And that, I think, in terms of the power of recognition, is the opportunity. The second aspect of the power of recognition is about the benefits that you might get out of this. So looking at one of the companies we work with, Morrison's, they provide contractors to the utility companies. Big organisation, part of the M Group. So they shared with us some of their KPIs. Now they've seen an almost 25% improvement in their customer service statistics. They're winning extended contracts because of their excellent service. They've seen a 6% reduction in their employee turnover. Now, you all know how costly it is to recruit and train new people. These guys have seen a 6% reduction at a time when most businesses are seeing an increase in employee attrition. They score 78% on their employee engagement score. That puts them in the very top echelon for UK employee engagement. And I think most powerful of all, they get stories like, "He saved my father's life." If you don't have that compliment counter open, you will never get to know these stories. And an organisation is only as good as the stories it can tell. We all need pride in our work. Let's give our people pride in our work. So we've seen the opportunity, we've seen the benefit. Now, these top 10 tips for you. If you're expecting rocket science, you're going to be bitterly disappointed. I don't believe we deliver rocket science. What I believe we deliver is rocket fuel. Very simple tips. There is nothing here that's going to challenge you. In fact, it's so damn simple that I think most people dismiss it as being impossible, what's the word I'm looking for? Ineffective. All right? So these 10 top tips, and we're going to go through these real quick. And I will be here to answer questions afterwards. If anybody wants to latch on to me then, that's absolutely great. So firstly, fairness and transparency. Whatever you do, it's got to be unbiased, it's got to be credible, and it's got to be inclusive. Most employee recognition programs that we see are anything but that. They're usually bogged down in administration and politics, and they lose credibility within minutes. So just think about, how do we get that fairness and transparency into our system? And bear in mind, you might be on a sticky wicket right from the start. Forbes believe that 82% of people don't trust their boss to tell the truth. And we've all seen management initiatives that have failed, haven't we? So you've got to overcome that hurdle right from the start. And then there's the question of getting manager buy-in. One of the UK's biggest supermarkets was very interested in what we did. We had lots of meetings with them, shared lots of what we did, and they went and did it for themselves, which I wasn't altogether surprised about, but, you know, fair play to them if they want to have a crack at it. But it failed because they didn't have the management buy-in. If your management team from top to bottom doesn't understand why this is important, how it's going to work, and what the benefits are going to be, they will actually undermine it. And we could hear comments like, well, I don't see why we should give our people praise. They get paid to doing a job. What's this piece of paper? Well, a load of old crap that is. But of course, they sunk their own ship. So you have to have that management buy-in. And a part of that management buy-in is about getting the right KPIs. I believe that very often we have the wrong KPIs, and we encourage people to do the wrong things. When we started working with Cadbury in their customer contact centre, we weren't expecting anything sort of terribly special. We knew what we were doing and we expected them to get good results. But what did surprise us was when Jane Tilt came back to us with this comment. Just a few weeks into running the programme, she said, we've dropped all the old KPIs and we now focus purely on customer nominations. And when you think about it, isn't that absolute sense? Because at the end of the day, if you can get it right for your customers, everything else is just going to fall into place. And when you get those KPIs right, then you've got it in the boardroom. And when you get it in the boardroom, it's going to be a part of your business planning, your strategy from that day forward. Frequency, timeliness, and being specific. Don't wait until the end of the year to recognise somebody. Late recognition is wasted recognition. So if somebody's done a good job, well, let's thank them today, or Monday morning, or the next team briefing, whenever it is, but let's do it at the soonest possible opportunity. Make sure it's timely, i.e. it's as close to the event as possible, and let's make sure it's specific. What did Mariana do that was so special? Particularly, you know, it's not just about did they go the extra mile, did they give 110%. Let's know exactly what it was that they did. Somebody I met once said to me, it's all about giving a pat on the back whilst the sweat is still wet. And that is an expression I cannot get out of my mind. I cannot forget it, but it is exactly right. As chairman of a big leisure company, I used to watch the nominations for our people coming in. We had 2,500 employees. And if I knew who some of those people were, I'd go out and find them. I'd catch somebody on the stairs and say, you know, Shirley, I've just seen you've been nominated by this customer. And you see them, they stand tall and they bristle. Oh, isn't that nice? You've just made somebody's day. And if it is a member of the senior management that comes down onto the shop floor or goes out into the sales force or whatever, you really are making somebody's day. And all of these great stories, of course, they can then become a part of your future marketing, can't they? Building your brand, building your culture. Get these stories on social media as soon as you possibly can. That then starts to appeal to other people who might want to come and work for your company, or even other people that might want to buy from your business, because all of a sudden they see you as a good supplier. So it's not just about reducing absence, reducing attrition, it's about improving teamwork, it's about improving sales and all-round general profitability. Like, I wish I had actually dreamt up this whole thing on day one. But I didn't. I just had that one simple idea. And everything from that idea has come from talking to some of the companies we work with and their suggestions about, could you do this? Could you do that? Could we have milestone certificates? Can we have a report each quarter? Can you feed this through to our board members? So, you know, the ideas actually come out of them. And your values. Do you know what your corporate values are? Do you actually know what's on your website? Do you have any corporate values? Something to check. The research shows that if you can link your recognition program to your corporate values, that recognition program is likely to be 71% more effective. Now, this whole thing about recognition, really, the power of it is you're taking away the responsibility from your management team and you're giving it to your customers. Now, you're one person, but how many customers do you have? Do you see the leverage that your customers have? If you have 10 customers or 100 customers or 1,000 customers, they've got much, much more leverage than you have. So give them the power and say to them, thank you so much for your nomination. Which one of our values do you think that this is in keeping with? And then you can start to track which values they really appreciate, which ones you're really living up to. And when you present a certificate, you can say, Bob, thanks so much for what you did to this customer. You know, this is how you made them feel. And this is our company value that is bringing to life. Make it 360 degree. It doesn't have to be top down to bottom. You can nominate your colleagues. Somebody on the front line can nominate the boss. Why not? We all need that pride, that little bit of recognition. And make it formal as well as informal. You might have a nice award ceremony at the end of the year to recognise the best of the best. But so much more powerful really is that pat on the back. Get out there and just thank people. Just like Fergus has done today, thanking the committee. All heard from Mayor Angelo about people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did. But people will never forget the way that you made them feel. I feel so blessed that almost on a daily basis, I hear stories coming back. Not just the customer stories, but the stories of the people who have been nominated and the people that have received a little certificate from us, saying what a difference it's made to them. How perhaps it might have caught them on a day when they were feeling a little bit low. How they'd done something that the customer thought was extraordinary, but they thought was just part of their job. It's a fabulous source of power and energy for your businesses. And the psychology of all this, when we have children, we can't tempt them with a £50 note, can we? They wouldn't understand the value of it. So we give them little certificates, star charts, merit badges, anything that will stick to the outside of a refrigerator. And that psychology of recognition has to stay with us as children into our adult lives, because we then use that with the next generation. So it's no surprise that when we see little Thea glowing with pride at having received a certificate, I am a superstar, we actually see the same glow when we present a piece of paper to an adult. And more than that, we often see tears. Many times, these people feel that they've never been recognised for the work that they do. Very, very sad. So my final tip is this, it's take action. Go back, check that you've got that compliments counter open. Look at your processes, get your management team involved, create something that's fair and inclusive, transparent. Put something in your diary that perhaps every week you're going to catch at least one person doing something right. Maybe even this afternoon when we break up from this meeting, take your phone out, message somebody. Could be somebody you work with, could be one of your suppliers, a customer, it could even be a member of your family. Just let them know how much you appreciate what a good job they do for you. You might just be blown away by the reaction. So, 28 years. Like I say, I know I'm coming to the end of my journey, but you guys mainly, it's all right, Jim, mainly are much younger than me. You're still on your journey. That opportunity is still there. The benefits are still there. I hope that I've shared something with you today that will be of value and of use to you in the future, and I wish you every possible success. Thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you.